he or she wasn't feeling sick, just complained of some mild headache, and before you know it, the sad news of the demise of the victim rents the air. That is the effect of the silent killer. Yes, the silent killer, hypertension. Hmm. Do stay glued to your screen as our resource persons would educate us more on this topic. But first, let's feel the pulse of the public on hypertension. My name is Yetunde Jayola. Please don't go anywhere.
If there is something not to joke with, is checking of my blood pressure. Because the rate at which people just slump and die due to maybe stress or what is happening in the country. So as they generating a lot of high blood pressure. So because of that, I do check it regularly.
So I am very cautious of my blood pressure because due to the day-to-day activities, the stress I pass through at work and at home. So I often check my blood pressure on a monthly basis.
I check it regularly. Let me say in a month, I go once.
You have to reduce your stress. Another thing is that constant checking of the high blood pressure. Because if you don't check it, at times you will believe that you are okay and you will not be okay. And then when you begin to feel some traces, constant headache and so on, then you need to go and do checkup in order to know the level of your hypertension so that to put it in control.
Someone can just pick it up and it's hereditary. So like family history, if someone in your family have it and there is a tendency, you also have it. So, but for me, I make sure I avoid some certain things, especially when it comes to food. Because when I know maybe some food that can trigger the high blood pressure, especially example, let's say salt. Because I often heard that doctors say eating the intake of salt, too much intake of salt can trigger high blood pressure. So I'm a kind of person that try to avoid salty foods, and I do exercise regularly. Some of the health routine, like drinking a lot of water, you know, trying to find something that will give me a peace of mind, because I try by all means to keep myself happy.
I try to accept anything that comes to my way in good faith. Secondly, I don't allow any pressure to disturb me. What I can do, I do. What I can't, I leave it to God. And I try to go for exercise because it's another way of, showing away from pressure. Because when you exercise your body, it gives you more health.
Glad to know that you are still glued to your television sets. Dr. Charles Azubike Omezi joined us all to take our health, wellness, and well-being seriously. You should get to meet him in the course of the program. Next on our menu is a mini documentary on hypertension. Please stay tuned.
According to the World Health Organization, WHO, an estimated 1.28 billion adults aged between 30 and 79 years are suffering from hypertension. Two-thirds of these figures are recorded in low and middle income countries. Shockingly, only 46% of adults with hypertension are aware of their condition. Furthermore, only 42% of adults, less than half, with hypertension are diagnosed and treated. Worldwide, it is acknowledged that hypertension is a silent killer. This is because, in most cases, it presents no symptoms. Experts say that individuals with very elevated blood pressure, usually 180 over 120 or higher, can experience symptoms which include the following: severe headache, chest pain, dizziness, difficulty in breathing, nausea, vomiting, blurred vision and other vision changes, anxiety, confusion, buzzing in the ears, nose bleeding, abnormal heart rhythm. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms in high blood pressure, seek medical attention immediately. Having your blood pressure checked is a quick and painless procedure recommended by medical experts to be done routinely. Regular blood pressure checks are essential for early detection. Persons diagnosed with hypertension are encouraged to own a home kit for measuring their blood pressure regularly or visit the nearby medical facilities to monitor their blood pressure levels. This would help them monitor their health and alert them to any potential issues.
So glad that you are still with us on Better You today. It's now time to unveil our expert in the house. It is Dr. Charles Azubike Omezi from the Kano State Hospital Management Board. He explained further salient facts and issues around hypertension. Please watch.
When a tank is filled up with water and you turn on the tap, there's this pressure that comes out from the tap. But when that same tank is not full and you turn on that tap, the pressure is not as strong as when the tank is full. So in our body system, a lot of blood circulation, everything is going on within the body is being carried out with the pressure. There is a body pressure that makes that circulation to happen with ease. So hypertension is when a body system's pressure is so high or is higher than normal. And what is normal? The top number is called systolic. 130 is normal. The lower one is 80 diastolic. So any number you get that is more than that 130, 80 is predisposing you to hyperpressure, and that hyperpressure affects your vital organs like the kidney, like the brain, like the eyes. Or there are vessels in all those major vital organs. So when the body pressure is greater than usual, one has hypertension and is at risk of organ injury. Older people are more predisposed compared to younger people. So there are certain levels of hypertension you will see in an older person that you won't be alarmed compared to seeing it in a younger person. A family history, when we know that, oh, our fathers or our mothers, our uncles, relatives generally were attending clinics, taking drugs for hypertension, were at risk. Taking too much alcohol, it is advisable to do things in moderation. When you eat too much, you drink too much, it predisposes one to hypertension. In the case of alcohol, you are making your liver to work more than it should work on a regular day. So, with that, one is predisposed to having hypertension. Our dietary habits predisposes us. When we take a lot of salt, a lot of glutamic seasonings in our diet, in our feeding, it predisposes us. When we don't watch our weight, we just eat several portions, no vegetables, no salad, it predisposes us to hypertension. When we live a sedentary lifestyle, meaning that we're always in one position, sitting down, lying down, we don't exercise our body, it predisposes us to hypertension. In general, we should take our health more serious. And if not just us, our relatives, people around us, whenever we notice that things are going abnormally, we should seek for help in the right place. We shouldn't just apportion blames to spiritual or to people around us. We do a lot of things by ourselves that predisposes us to being sick. So whenever we notice that things are not going well health-wise, we should seek for help as soon as possible in the right place.
Constant and consistent checking and monitoring of one's blood pressure is central to effectively diagnosing, validating, and continuous management of hypertension. Dr. Aisha Yakubu will take us through the process of checking blood pressure and relevant information in order to upscale and uplift our wellness and well-being.
Hypertension or high blood pressure is when there is a persistently elevated blood pressure of more than or equals to 140 over 90 millimeter mercury. It's very important, as we know it is one of the most important public health diseases affecting generally the population, more importantly, Africans. It is very important to check your blood pressure regularly because hypertension or increased blood pressure affects or damages blood vessels. So usually it does not present with any symptoms. Most of the time it does not present with any symptoms. It is usually gotten by accident. The importance of checking it regularly helps in identifying uncontrolled and undiagnosed hypertension. And it also helps in preventing and treating complications or life-changing problems. Example, stroke, coronary heart diseases, example, heart attack, kidney disease, and sometimes death. So these are the reasons why you should check your blood pressure regularly, as regular as every 2 weeks. It is even encouraged for you to get a home blood pressure monitor so that you can check it regularly, and when you see something suspicious or threatening, you can go to your nearby hospital so that you can have it validated and diagnosed. How you read your blood pressure. The blood pressure has two figures. It has the upper figure and the lower figure. That is the systolic and the diastolic. So the systolic blood pressure, that is the upper number, means the blood pressure within the vessels at the time the heart pumps blood through the body. While the lower figure, which is the diastolic blood pressure, means the pressure of the blood in the vessels when your heart relaxes or in between beats. When you get these two figures, in order for you to interpret whether you have hypertension or not is not determined by a single reading. A single reading does not always mean you have hypertension because many factors can affect your reading. Temperature, stress, anxiety. We also have something called the white coat effect, which is when a patient or an individual is nervous in a clinical setting. So that is why it is encouraged or advised to have a home blood pressure monitor. So if you have a reading of less than 120/80 millimeter mercury, which is the unit of measurement, then you are considered normotensive. But if you have a blood pressure of more than 140/90 millimeter mercury or equals to in more than one reading, then you are considered hypertensive. And if you get that, then you can go to your close or nearby hospital for further investigations. The device or the instrument used in measuring your blood pressure is called the sphygmanometer. The sphygmanometer, we have two types. This is the digital sphygmanometer, while this is the manual sphygmanometer. For the digital, it is automated, so it gives you the reading. It does not require you to do anything, only for the patient to insert their hands through here, and it is usually less accurate. But it is used for screening most of the time, while the manual is used to validate your diagnosis. So, in order to know how to read your blood pressure when you measure it, there are various steps you need to take. Be seated, relaxed, upright, with your feet placed on the floor and your legs apart, and your hand that you're going to read the blood pressure from should be resting. You put your hand inside, rest your elbow on the placement here. The elbow should be well rested and the cuff should be around the upper arm. Then you can press the on button.
Please keep quiet, maintain the cuff and the heart at the same height. Now begin. Your blood pressure is systolic pressure, 171 millimeters of mercury. Diastolic pressure, 92 millimeters of mercury. Your heart rate is 67 beats per minute. Your blood pressure level is moderate hypertension.
Note that a single reading does not always mean hypertension. You have to test more than once in order to be diagnosed hypertensive. This is the manual sphygmanometer, and it comprises of the inflatable cuff, the bulb you use in inflating the cuff, the valve, and the mercury meter. So what you start by doing is when the arm is fully exposed, you apply or you wrap the cuff, making sure the cuff is the right size. What I mean by the right size is if it's for an adult, it states adult. If it's for a pediatric patient, it's also written. You wrap it around the arm with the lower edge of the cuff being 1 inch or 2 to 3 centimeters above the antecubital fossa, which is this deep groove. You wrap it. It shouldn't be too tight, can be snug. Okay? The arm should be well rested. You can palpate for the pulse here if you feel a pulse, which is called radial pulse, or you can palpate this here. And if you have your stethoscope, you can use either the bell or the diaphragm to listen to the pulse. And then you inflate the cuff. You inflate it to a point where you suspect that is where the systolic arterial pressure should be. You know that by either you hear the cessation of sound from the auscultation, so there will be an absence of sound, and the pulse here will be absent. that means the vessel or the blood vessel is completely occluded. So the next thing you do is, while listening through your stethoscope, you unlock the valve slowly while looking at your mercury meter. Slowly. While listening with your stethoscope, once you reach the systolic blood pressure, what will happen is the sound will reappear. You can hear it as kotokof, as in it makes a sound. This happens when the blood vessel is partially opened and the turbulence of the blood flow makes that sound, which will be listened to through the stethoscope. And then you keep on listening. There's a point where the blood vessel will be completely opened and the sound will disappear. Once it disappears, that is your diastolic blood pressure. You can either read it that way, or while watching the mercury, when it reaches the systolic blood pressure, it bounces. The sounds or the turbulence makes the mercury to bounce. And once it stops bouncing and the bouncing disappears, that is your diastolic blood pressure. So that is how you read your blood pressure while using the manual sphygmanometer.
Complications of uncontrolled hypertension. Among other complications, hypertension may cause serious damage to the heart. Excessive pressure can harden arteries, decrease the flow of blood and oxygen to the heart. This elevated pressure and reduced blood flow can cause chest pain, also called angina, due to reduced flow to the heart, damage to the arteries, making the inner lining to be less elastic, thereby reducing blood flow, formation of aneurisms, bulges in weakened artery walls that may rupture and cause internal bleeding. Kidney damage. High blood pressure harms the kidney over time. Vision loss. Blood vessel damage may affect the eyes. Heart problems. Coronary heart diseases. Narrowed and damaged arteries struggle to supply blood to the heart, leading to chest pain, irregular heart rhythm, and heart attack. Enlarged left heart. The heart works harder to pump blood, thickening the left ventricle and increasing the risk of heart attack, heart failure, and sudden cardiac arrest. Heart failure. The heart muscle weakens due to prolonged strain from high blood pressure. Brain complications. Transient ischemic attack. A disruption of blood supply to the brain, often a warning sign of a full-blown stroke. Stroke. Insufficient oxygen and nutrients cause brain cells to die. Damaged blood vessels and blood clots contributes to stroke. Erectile dysfunction. Reduced blood flow impacts sexual function. Memory loss. Poor blood supply to the brain affects cognitive function. Fluid buildup in the lungs, also called pulmonary edema, is a condition where an abnormal amount of fluid accumulates within the air sacs of the lungs. This makes it challenging to breathe and can have serious consequences.
Utmost gratitude to God Almighty and the invaluable contribution of our guests in making this edition of Better You Today a reality. Remember that you can view this episode and previous ones on our YouTube page and other social media handles displayed on the screen. My name is Yetunde Jayola. Stay safe, everyone. Bye for now.